It's nearing lunchtime at this 150-year-old pub, recently transformed into an elegant, fine dining restaurant in inner Melbourne. A venue that specialises in steak of only the highest quality, with 18, sometimes 22 different types of steak on the menu. But in more than 2 decades, head chef Jake First has never served meat so good as this.
It's definitely at the top. So as a grass-fed product, the tenderloin is probably the best I've had and experienced in a long time. So just have the tenderness but married up with the flavour as well, which rarely you get both of those together with the tenderloin.
So what are these most prime of all cuts? A tenderloin from a 2-year-old grass-fed Speckle Park heifer, dry-aged for 38 days. And a ribeye from 150-day grain-fed Speckle Angus cross.
Yeah, this is the grain-fed product that you supplied us. Been in the dry since the 21st of the 10th, so just on 38 days. Like you said, you can see the fat coverage, the slight marble through it, and just how soft it is. So yeah, this is a perfect steak for us.
Each mouth-watering steak will set you back $360, which diners are happy to pay.
Well, the suspense is killing me. Can we try it?
Dig in.
Absolutely.
The meat originated here at Justin and Amy Dickens' Speckle Park stud at Yeovil, New South Wales.
We took 100% grass-fed purebred heifer and a 150-day grain-assisted F1 Speckle Park Angus steer, had them processed at a local abattoir and butchered at a butcher here in Wellington. And then we thought, right, well, let's take it to the chefs that are at the top of their game and get the feedback. Yes, some of that made its way down to Cinder in Melbourne, and other cuts made their way to 5 or 6 of the leading chefs in Sydney, and universally it's been really positive feedback.
Paul Guy was responsible for making it all happen. Paul spent 25 years as a bloodstock agent who bought and sold expensive racehorses for mostly rich clients around the globe. He came back to Australia to live a few years ago and took up raising cattle, but with a new perspective. Fanatical about pedigrees, before every horse sale, he used to collate pages of breeding records on every horse. When he applied the same fastidious approach to cattle, he discovered some very enticing qualities about Speckle Park. Above all, its tasty steak.
If you're going to put your hand in your pocket for a really expensive menu item, well, it better be really good, it better deliver, and Speckle Park just do. They taste delicious. Talk to anyone who's eaten it and you will get rave reviews. And not saying it's better than everything, it's different.
This breed was developed in Canada mid-last century and arrived in Australia in 2007. The Dickens bought their first Speckles in 2012.
We'd traded a lot of cattle over the years, and we'd come across Speckle Park and just observed their traits and how well they suited our landscape, first and foremost. And for us, I think, what got us over the line was we saw Speckle Park as the breed that addressed most of the challenges that we needed in a breed into the future. So, they were an early maturing animal, they were high yielding, they had exceptional meat quality, they were fertile, they were hardy. They were just animals that, just didn't need propping up. So that was the impetus, I guess, and, but I suppose the meat side of it was the real intrigue.
The beef, when you eat it, there's so much moisture and that flavour is just an explosion in your mouth.
Consistently impressed by the breed's various qualities, in 2016 they started a stud.
And we did that through the purchase of 140 embryos, Canadian embryos that we imported. And since then we've been bringing in genetics more from Canada and New Zealand, and then refining our own. We've probably done about 3,000 embryo transfers since we started, and now have a commercial herd as well that we're carrying through and doing this trial work with.
Speckle Park are an attractive looking breed, which has made them popular with some cattle producers. But their beauty is far more than skin deep.
What's kept us in the breed is what's definitely underneath the coat, and the research and trial work we've continued to do has really now got us to the point where we're more passionate than ever and more clear than ever that this is a breed with a great place.
In my long career as an agricultural reporter,
I've seen dozens of the newer breeds proclaimed as the next big thing in Australia's beef industry. Of those, most have fallen by the wayside. So will that fate affect Speckle Park? Well, no, say the supporters of this breed, because they now have some serious science to back up their claims. Today, scientist Professor Abduli Malau Abduli from the University of Newcastle is visiting to see the breed on the hoof.
How are you going?
Yeah, good, thanks.
You found us all right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Very, very good.
Till now, he's only seen small biopsy samples of their meat sent to his lab for testing.
Obviously, yes, this is the first time live and direct. I'm quite happy about that.
When we cooked the meat, we could never really understand why it carried so much succulence and moisture. And, you know, even if you overcook it a bit, it seems to still be very flavoursome and juicy. And I was fascinated as to why that was the case.
So my work deals generally with ruminant genetics, nutrition and meat quality. So by ruminants, I'm referring to cattle, sheep and goats. But most of my work has focused on meat quality in cattle and sheep.
A professor of animal and veterinary science, the scientist had previously done similar chemical analysis to measure the amount of compounds such as omega-3 in lamb meat. Omega-3, a long-chain fatty acid, is found in avocados and olive oil. It lowers blood pressure and has a range of other health benefits for the brain and heart. These cattle have unusually high levels of long-chain fatty acids.
Really fantastic results that we've seen, particularly in terms of the low fat melting point and omega-3 long-chain fatty acids. I was quite surprised at the levels because normally with cattle and sheep you don't get heaps of those long-chain omega-3 fatty acids.
The initial research shows very positive traits in relation to low fat melting and high omega-3s and polyunsaturated fatty acids.
In scientific terms,
so the good guys are the unsaturated fatty acids, and the bad guys are the saturated fats. So the more of the unsaturated fats that you have, the healthier they are, and the better the eating quality experience.
Justin and Amy Dickens are now identifying and selectively breeding their highest-ranking animals to see if those qualities are heritable, and develop an animal that matures earlier, requiring far fewer inputs but still delivering high meat quality.
We're then absolutely measuring to within an inch of their lives to find out what's the cream of the crop, I guess, yeah.
So for me, I feel that if you have pasture-fed animals, fast growers, efficient producers, and above all, they're producing meat quality that's just top of the range with healthy, long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, that cuts the deal much better.
In recent years, cattle producers have selectively bred cattle with high intramuscular fat, or IMF, commonly called marbling. There's a belief that the greater the interspersed fat, the more flavoursome the meat. But Professor Aduli's research suggests it's only part of what makes a juicy, tender, flavoursome steak. So is the Australian meat industry heading down the wrong path?
I want to say that there's more to meat eating quality than marbling, because there are other important traits that affect texture, flavour, juiciness, and health benefits as well. So emphasising just the one trait could be disadvantageous to the whole herd. We might be doing ourselves a disservice to the industry.
Dennis Power is General Manager of Minamara Pastoral Company. It runs one of Australia's finest Angus commercial herds across 10,000 hectares of prime grazing country in central west New South Wales. The company established a Speckle Park stud in 2011 and started building the breed's database. On Landline in 2016, Dennis admitted it was a leap of faith.
We've been pushing like heck for people to get as much data as they can, because, you know, real cattlemen aren't going to buy cattle without figures.
Since then, Minamara Speckles has collected reams of data through extensive trials in feedlots and on pasture, and has built one of the largest purebred Speckle Park herds in the world.
14 years ago now, we brought decided to go into these cattle. I need me head rig. I said, I'm a man that believes in figures all the way down the line, and justifying all your moves and your breeding and everything on figures, and I take on a breed that had nothing. But now it's it's very rewarding, and I feel there's a huge future for these cattle. There's no doubt about that.
This year, the company will join 3,000 cows to Speckle Park bulls. Stock agent Andrew Hoskin has come to assess these first-cross Speckle Park heifers. He believes the breed's major attribute is its high-quality beef, as measured by Meat Standards Australia.
I'm quite convinced that that will be a breed strength, improving the MSA. I killed cattle off 3 different properties in the last fortnight over a fairly wide area, southern Queensland through to southern New South Wales, all graded in the top 10% of MSA grading for Australia.
Dennis Power has been just as impressed with the breed's hardiness and ability to handle drought conditions.
The foraging ability and the doability of these cows was amazing. They were eating a third less. We were feeding them all out of mixer wagon. We knew exactly what the mobs, how much they were taking. They were eating a third less than some of the other British bred cows that we had here at the time, and maintaining and holding their condition well.
Time and time again, we've seen these animals perform in feedlots, and they are 10, 15, 20% more feed efficient. They convert less feed into the same amount of beef.
As breeders, it's absolutely important that we are focused on breeding an animal to suit our environment.
Paul Guy has seen the same thing. The Speckle Park breed is rapidly making inroads into the Australian beef industry. Those spearheading its emergence say science will continue to direct their course.
There's a number, and quite a number, of really enthusiastic performance recorders. So we measure and monitor everything we can.
These days, anyone can put anything on their website, but what they are trying to do is to actually get the science behind what they are producing, because it is the science that actually drives the viability and the validity of what they do.
You know, it's very unusual for an animal to have such good meat quality, but really good yields as well.
I'm positive that there's a real good future for these cattle.
Their next quest, developing a distinctive beef brand of its own.
And people can sit down at a restaurant and eat meat and know that it's Speckle Park and become familiar with the quality differences that are there.
So you'll see Angus, Wagyu and Speckle Park kind of alongside each other?
That's the goal.